Hi there, it's Sam from Pootles.co.uk. Thank you very much for joining me today. Today's project is this one. Now, are they looking completed? They kind of are, but I don't very often bring you along on my sample prototype road, but I wanted to show you how I got from a piece of cardstock to that, because that is my finished one. I am going to make it fully, but I was really playing around and I wanted to make a bag box that you didn't need to glue. It was just all about the cutting and it had nice shapes. So if I take this one off here, it's just lovely, lovely, lovely shapes. Really pretty shapes to it. And so I had a play around and I was fiddling and working out measurements. Like I say, it holds itself together just with a bit of ribbon. It's not going to go anywhere, as you can see. But I wanted to bring you along really as I kind of went along with things. So as you can see from this one, I've got some punching going on at the front because I thought, well, maybe I can have a little peephole. And on my original, my phone's going bonkers. I had it closing like that and I thought, I'm not so keen on that. I like the dome, but it's got a crease. The punch didn't work there. It sort of did there, but then you've got this bit going over, which is kind of how I've ended up with this shape after all. And this version has got a crease there. This one doesn't. And I don't know how well I can show you. It doesn't have a crease, so it just has the smooth tone. But either of these I'm happy with, either with the crease there, but it does tend to flop down a bit more, which I didn't want it to do, or without. You're going to get a nice bag, and like I say, just a bit of ribbon and it's holding itself together with no problem. But yeah, this is a colour I don't like. I use our cardstock when I'm designing because I want to know that it's going to stand up to the quality of it is going to be consistent from when I make a prototype to actually making a project. So I pick the colours I don't like. So my samples always seem to be orange and old olive. But like I say, you can see where I was going with it. I don't have my former samples, those ended up in the bin, but this one I hung on to because this kind of helps me remember. So, okay, let's make one. Right, so you need a piece of cardstock that is 12 by 11 inches, which is 28 by 30 centimetres. Okay, we're going to work on the short side first. So normally you hear me say the long side. This time round we're working on the short side. So that is the 11-inch side, 28 centimetre side. Okay, so score it at 1.5, 4 3/4, 6 1/4, and 9.5 inches. Okay, and actually what we've scored is this bit, this part here and here. Okay, that's what we've just scored there. In metric it's 4, 12, 16 and 24. Now, when we come to score what are these parts, you've got choices. So I'm going to turn it round to the 12-inch side, which is the 30 centimetre side. The first score line comes at 2.5 inches. Now, if you don't mind, you know what, I am going to pull this one apart so that you've got the choices. If you don't mind having a score line there, so when it's closed, you've got a score line at this part, score all the way to the top. If you don't want a score line there, and you can see this hasn't got one, follow what I'm going to do now. So, 2.5 inch mark, which is the 6 centimetre marker. Like I say, if you're happy to have score line, just go whoosh, top to bottom. If you don't and you want that nice smoothed finish, you're going to stop at the second score line. 2.5 inches, stop at the second score line. Okay, and we're going to do the same over at the 9.5 inch mark. Stop at that second score line. Okay, super easy. And then score it at 4 fully and 8 fully, which in metric we're scoring part score at 6, part score at 24, fully at 10 and 20. Now, obviously, as you can see, it's not scored there, so you simply rotate fully and do exactly the same at 2.5 inches down to the second score line 9.5 down to the second score line. Okay, and hopefully, there we go, you can see that now. So basically you're just not scoring that little bit there. You could put a ruler on, I just found it easier to turn it around. So that's all you're doing, you're just not scoring that little bit, and that's just to get the finished dome. As I said, if you don't mind a crease, that's all good. Okay, so let's burnish this. Burnish your full score lines only, obviously. Okay, right. So I'm going to turn it so that I've got these parts scored. This strange bit flows in that direction. Okay, big scissors now. Cut, and I'm going to hover this so that you can see everything. We're going to use this central panel. I'm trying to say column and panel, and it's neither of those. This central section is the kind of the base point. So I'm just going to trim and take away that little bit. Okay, so that's just that little section there. And then I'm going to completely take away the outer two corners. I wonder if that might be easier to teach that first. If we just take away the outer two corners of everything, we'll do that. Don't want to complicate things. We've got lots of spares, lots of leftovers. So the two sections in the outer corner, we're just getting rid of all of those. And the last ones. Okay, so that's all my outer panels done. And as I said, keeping this smooth line here, you can see what I've done on the first one. You separate that and chop that off. Okay, so just separate that down, chop it off. Cut that off. Okay, and that is what you're left with. So that's my bit there that hasn't got score lines. On this one it does have score lines at that point there. All you need to do now is give that a bit of a curl with a bone folder. Not too much, just enough to make it bend a little bit. And then a couple of panels of designer series paper. These measure 3 3/4 by 3 inches, which is 7.5 by 9.5 centimetres. Oh, I didn't tell you the finished dimensions. Oh, that's naughty. I'll tell you those in a second. I'll put one back together and show you. Actually, I'll put this one back together. This is the Twill Tidings designer series paper. This was a favourite from last year that made a return this year, and as you saw, it's garden green one side, real red the other side. So easy peasy, you fold those in, and that, my little dome is there. Fold in my panels, and then I just need some real red, and I'm going to take this one. I will give you a tip, do not tie it too tightly because it sags. Can you see that? It sags. So you, you just want to tie it so that it is just the right tension. If you you want to, you could glue it. I think I've just tied that too tight, but okay, that's okay. So, finished dimensions, 1.5 inches, whoopsie, 3 inch, sorry, 1.5, 4, 3 1/4, which is in metric is 4, 8 and 10. So yeah, you want to get the right tension. If you want to, you can glue it. So I might glue this one. If you really were, oh, I don't want it to all fall apart, you're looking at these panels here. Okay, so I'm going to glue this one. And hang on, let's just turn it over and make life easier. And you just bring them round, okay? So if you were concerned that it might gape open, you can just simply glue it. Whoopsie! Oh, my hands are all over the place. And that's going to keep it shut that direction, and then you could put a bow front to back, but whichever way you do it, it's actually a really lovely box, and then you can decorate it at leisure. But I'm not going to decorate it because I really love this one. Reindeer board game, sorry, there was a siren or something going past, so I thought that was lovely. Particularly liked that designer series paper, love this one, just simple, lovely. And like I say, I thought I'd bring you along and just sort of talk through my design process. Often I don't, but I like to come up with cool and unusual, and I like to think that's rather unusual. Anyway, thank you ever so much for joining me. Hope to speak to you very soon. Bye.